bring in, as promised, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Good evening, my fellow Americans and patriots. It is that hour. It's 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here in the great state of Wisconsin. I'm your host, Jeff Norton of the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Wow, we got a great show. Last night was just incredible. If you had an opportunity to listen to the show, tell me what you think about it. But we actually had a GOP liberty-minded operative who, talked to you guys, talked to me about how she infiltrated, if you want to use that word, infiltrated the Nye County GOP, which is the third largest county in the United States in Nevada, for those that don't know. Home of Area 51, home of one of my mentors, Art Bell. So that was a great show. I highly recommend that you go back and listen to that. It's just outstanding what she did in a matter of about 4 years, going from sitting on her couch, yelling at the TV like most of us do, plugging away on Facebook, to actually becoming the RNC director of the GOP there in Nye County, Lisa Marie Johnson. So great show. But tonight we also have an outstanding show. For all those that listen to the Midnight Patriot radio show, you guys are always asking me, where do I get that music? Where do I get that music? It kind of tells me you're really not listening, because we always talk about it. It's Madison Rising. Go out to their website, madisonrising.com. And tonight is actually a really, really special night for me, because I get to speak. Actually, you'll be able to speak to the lead singer of Madison Rising. He's on the phone. We'll get him in here after the break. David Bray, and we were joking around. David's a former Marine. He was also a Navy corpsman and stuff. So he's a brother. So it's going to be exciting to listen to his story. And, and like I said, I've been alluding all week about the Star Spangled Banner. You guys hear that at the intro of our show, most of our shows. Well, we're going to go into that. There's a reason, obviously, besides the patriotic factor of it, but there was actually another reason why that song was put out there. So I'll let Dave kind of go over that with you. So we'll do that when we get back from the break. But right now, let's talk about some of the things. We are going to be taking lines or calls in the second hour. So tonight's pretty much a free-form night. We don't have any scheduled guests except for Dave. So we'll open up the lines after Dave gets off and take your calls and talk about whatever you want to talk about. But what I do definitely want to hit tonight is, I don't know if you guys heard this, President Obama threw Bill Clinton under the bus. We actually have Bill Clinton talking about how President Obama threw the race card on him. And so we'll share that with you. Obviously, the big news of the day, 106,000 people signed up for Obama. Well, stop. They can't even get their numbers right. They can't even tell us the truth behind their numbers. First, it was 106. Now it's 27,000. 27,000. Now, I get that in about a week here at the Midnight Patriot. Most websites, that's pretty pitiful. So, when we get back from the break, we'll get done talking with David. We're going to talk about that, get some of your input. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us here every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Join us on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like I said, we're going to take a small break. Got a little teaser for you. It's the first time that we have actually played this song from Madison Rising. It's called Hero. You can get it at madisonrising.com. Highly recommend you go to there and buy their CDs. It's great music. It's just outstanding music and stuff. So right now we're going to play Hero for you.
We need a hero, someone to save us from ourselves and our own self-destruction. God only knows we need help. Looking for a hero, someone who cares about the future, not about themselves, but about the idea of America. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free, and we need a miracle. You know this freedom is anything but free. What we have here depends on those who will fight for what they believe. When we stand together, there's nothing that we can't achieve. This nation of people standing as one in the name of liberty. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free, and we need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We need a hero today. We need a hero,
There you go. New song. Promoed right here. I got to cut that other song out. It doesn't do it justice, that intro song. So it's took away from Hero. That was Hero from Madison Rising. You know, Madison Rising is the sole music provider here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. And just to kind of let you know, that's actually a contention with iHeart and some of the other providers. They're telling us what we could do, and that's I'm going to let you guys know. I'm fighting. We're going to keep Madison Rising as our sole music provider, or we just won't do it. You know, I didn't get in this business to be controlled by corporate media and everything. So, with further ado, the gentleman that you just heard in that song Heroes on the line. Hey, Dave, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having us on, and I appreciate you spinning our tracks. And once again, I appreciate the exclusivity you're giving us.
Oh, no, that's you know, hey, look, when you get good music like that and patriotic music, I mean, you got to stay with it. It's yeah, I don't know you well enough to say it's like a good marriage. You know, once you get a good one, you got to keep it and stuff. But no, it's, you know, you guys keep producing great music, and it's just, you know, it's easy. It's a very easy decision for me to make over here as the producer / host of the show. So, but we appreciate the fact that you allow us to play your music, and that, you know, we're honored that that you give us that ability to do it and everything. So, man, you know, a lot of people, I'll tell you, you know, that's the first time people heard Hero. So I'm sure I'm going to get feedback tomorrow about it, because that's just an outstanding song. But, you know, Madison Rising, for those, you know, that are on the web, most of the our listeners know about your song, you know, and I think that's how you guys really hit the market, was with the Star Spangled Banner. And I've been teasing people all week that there's a little story behind that. And I've been telling them, Dave, I'm going to let you tell the story behind the Star Spangled Banner and how that song actually came about, the history of it for you.
Well, sure. First of all, it was you know, a turning point song for us, and whether it be divine intervention or whatever, you know, it was one of those songs that I was actually told not to really try to address or try to approach. And I was making a lot of trips back and forth. I was commuting to New York City, and on a train, you know, every day, sometimes twice a day for 3 hours. And you know, I just started cranking on it as soon as they told me I couldn't. But at that time, Bill Press and John Tosh were kind of spouting off at the mouth about how much, you know, that song was a pro-war song, and it was basically, you know, impossible to sing, and it was stupid, and that it blows, you know, quoting these guys. And it was, you know, fuel to the fire. It was fodder for me to write this, you know, song that wouldn't be any of those things, and would be, you know, singable for people that wanted to sing the national anthem, would be a great song for people that wanted to put it on their iPods. And that's basically what happened, you know. I just cranked away at it and worked it, and finally, you know, I got the band together and started rehearsing it, and had the guys, you know, get in there and really dig into the song with me. And it was really, you know, once again, it was a blessing in disguise that, you know, those guys were really, you know, going to the media with how much they hated our Star Spangled Banner and our national anthem. You know, it was right around the time we were releasing it, and it was really one of those things that, you know, call it divine intervention again, but it was what sparked the fire in a lot of people to come and listen to what we had done, and inevitably, like it and share it and spread it around the internet, and that's how we've gotten to where we've gotten today. And now, you know, just this past week, we, you know, we played it at halftime for, you know, Phoenix Cardinals game. So, I mean, it's come a long way since its inception and its beginning on a train, and now it's, you know, on a national level, and it's, you know, it'll be played at NASCAR next week. So I'm excited.
Oh, so you're actually going to be playing that at NASCAR?
Yeah, we're going to be on the Coca-Cola stage next week down in Homestead, Florida for a couple days. And then we actually have some other versions of some other great Americana classics. We do America the Beautiful, and we also do a version of God Bless America, and both of them are really strong, and they're just great songs. And you know, they're also on the new album. You can listen up, and if your listenership would like to go check it out, they can go to MadisonRising.com and check it out, or they can get it on Amazon or iTunes. Yeah.
I mean, actually, what we're I got to get 10. I told Becky, your manager, whatever, that, you know, that we would get some here to give away to our audience and stuff. So that's great to know. I mean, you know, that was the other question that I have. One of the other questions is, you know, you being the artist, I'm asking you right now, do you have a problem with people taking the Star Spangled Banner and actually using it and everything? Is it a fair use kind of product, or, you know?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, if you're gonna market something and use it, there has to be licensing.
Yeah.
That's just the way of the land. But I mean, if it's something that you're doing for, you know, your project or school, we've had people send us videos of, they did a talent show that was really amazing, and they used our song, and it was really, really cool. So, you know, that kind of stuff, and as long as it's not somebody trying to turn around and capitalize on it, if you want to capitalize on a version of Star Spangled Banner, make it a rock version, kind of make your own. It's not my song, it's anybody's song, but that version is kind of ours. And if I don't want to see anybody get any copyright law infringement issues, so it's always fair to ask first. But like I said, as long as it's not for profit, and we don't have any problems with it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, because I do have a lot of people who've taken it off our site and actually used it, and I'm like, well, you got to kind of, we asked, but I'll ask for you, and it's mainly just Patriots that are, actually out promoting your
Absolutely,
your
band, and that's it. Give a little credit and use it. I mean, it's a really beautiful song. Once again, it's not our national anthem. It's everybody's national anthem. It's everybody's Star Spangled Banner. It's just, we just did it in a really unique and cool way that people, they gravitate towards it, and they feel the patriotism in it, and that was what it was meant to do, and that's why I put it together the way it got put together. So
yeah, no, it rocks, man. I mean, it's 10 times. It's just incredible. It's an incredible song, and like I said, for our new listeners, we will be playing a little bit later on in the show. For our existing listeners, they hear it quite a bit. We kind of backed off of a little bit to kind of, give it a little bit of newness, when you were on and everything. But so we'll play it a little bit later. But we're not here to. I mean, obviously that was the song that launched you and everything. But we're here to talk about you Madison Rising, your background. You are a Marine, correct?
Well, we discussed this in the beginning. I consider myself Marines, and other Marines consider myself a Marine. So, yes, and essentially I am. I was a 8404 Corpsman with 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Sure. So when were you stationed there?
I was there from 95 to 97.
Oh.
And then half of that I was spent in Africa and on the USS Guam, which
Sure.
is an old LPH-9 helicopter carrier, and dragging Marines in the belly of that beast. And I didn't spend my time with the blue Navy up there. I was down there with the greasy green. So that's one of those things that speaks volumes. I could have been up there in a better berthing facility. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's amazing. When you say Lejeune, one of my favorite, Sandy, our favorite place there is Topsail Island. We try to get up there.
Oh, beautiful down there.
Oh,
man.
we love it.
Love Topsail.
Yeah, no, we love it. It's funny. I've got a lot of friends. Actually, I've got a real good friend who was an instructor there at Lejeune, and then I have another buddy who is now the director of the Wounded Warrior. He's the commander of the Wounded Warrior Battalion there at Lejeune. So that place has a special place in our hearts. Especially with everything that we do or try to do for our wounded and our vets and stuff and stuff. So
we'll be heading down to Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg here in a few months, and we're going to be down there. We're going to do a little tour down there just for those two military bases. So it'll be in April. So I mean, I can't wait to kind of revisit the old stomping ground. It'll be good to get some chigger bites,
Yeah, exactly. This way you get to watch them though. You don't get to participate.
Oh, come on, it's no fun.
It was funny. You got it. I mean, it's amazing. The culture around military bases. A lot of people that live around military bases know what I'm talking about. But it's just it's a completely different. It's an American culture. It's like I said, Sandy and I, we love going to the Topsail Island. I think it was funny because we cut through the gate there, the back gate, over the bridge there, and going to our favorite. Crab house or fish house that we go to in a little small town. So we're cutting through it. You can feel the rumbling of the tanks, and it kind of scared her when she looked up behind her and there's tanks following us down the road. So yeah, so on the back gate. But we
you never know what you're going to see back there, man.
Yeah, no, it's
some hot LZ extracts and stuff. You know what I mean?
It's
never know who's working up for what back there.
Yep. No, it's amazing stuff. So Madison Rising. So I mean, little history of you guys. Obviously you were in the military. Now, were you in a band in the military, or you were too busy working?
Yeah, I was. I when we were crossing the Atlantic, I got into my mail and I started. I got some tapes and some other stuff, some recordings basically from guys that I was working with back home while I was still, when I was still playing in a band before I left. I was, a young pup, 17, and and I got, started heading across. I started working on songs, and I actually started writing a little bit while I was in but mostly it was when I got out and I realized, I kind of was just sort of feeling that I needed to do something with music. It was kind of just a general direction I've always wanted to go. I've never really given up on it. Something that, since back in the days of dancing with a tennis racket and a pair of tighty whities in front of a mirror, listening to the Eagles or whoever, that was where I started. And it's kind of one of those things that's just sort of evolved over the years. My first band was, pretty heavy, kind of a metal band. It wasn't like screamo metal, but sort of grunge metal, I guess you could call it. And then, evolved into, I don't want to say electronica, but we had keyboards and all kinds of neat stuff happening. And then it, came into where I was with Madison Rising, and it's been an interesting road, an interesting journey. I've been doing this for, 15 plus years now. My beautiful wife has stuck by me through it all somehow, for some reason. I still don't know why, but she does. And, it's been a crazy journey. And Madison Rising was really kind of a blessing in the end, because I was getting to the point with music. I was kind of sort of washing my hands. I had two young children when I joined up with these guys, and I was kind of in career mode, set up house, wife, kids, and let's do the American dream thing. And then all of a sudden, poof, I'm right back into music. And it was just kind of, and it wasn't a part-time gig. It was a full-time gig. So it was, it was definitely a life-changing experience for me, but it came at an important time in my life. And I think it's coming at an important time for America. And it's kind of what America, I feel, kind of needs, is a little bit of a slap, you know what I mean, in the face, and wake them up and get them excited about being patriotic again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the music's just incredible. We were jamming. Sandy and I we were going down to Chicago today, and it was funny. I had the CD in, and she's never really listened to the full CD. She's always just listened to the, the music on the from the show. And so we had to, and she was like, "Holy crap, turn that up. That's pretty good stuff." And that's what we tell people is like, look, you got to get the CDs. The quality is on the radio is not as good, as nowhere near as good as it is on the CD. So tour dates. Now you said you're doing NASCAR this weekend, and then you just got done doing Arizona, the Cardinals. Wow.
Yep, just did Phoenix. We did Carolina Panthers 2 weeks ago. We've been busy, man. Been really busy. So we'll be right down in Homestead, Florida, coming up this weekend, and we'll be down there on the Coca-Cola stage for 2 days, and we'll be doing the pre-race God Bless America down there.
Yeah, that's going to be incredible. I will definitely be watching.
I really hope they televise. I'm sure I would imagine they will do the God Bless America.
God Bless America, yes, they do. They typically, I'm a NASCAR fan, so yes, so it's good to see you. I was thinking, like I said, when I first got exposed to your band, I'm thinking of everybody I can call that I know that's in PR or in sports marketing, and say, hey, look, you guys got to get these guys, playing the Star Spangled Banner and everything, because this music's just incredible.
Next year's a big deal for the Banner. The 2014 will actually be the 200th anniversary. It'll be the bicentennial of its basically its writing. Yeah. So and basically our victory in the War of 1812 as well. So sure. It's the 200th anniversary of the our second revolutionary victory. Yeah. So it should be a big year for us and a big year for the Star Spangled Banner. I'm hoping that people see, that it needs a little bit of a makeover, and it needs to be, a fresh coat of paint, and, that's all.
Sure. Now, I got to ask, let's switch gears a little bit. We play Soldier on this. We do a tribute to the fallen, we call it, every night. As long as we have soldiers that are in harm's way, that are paying the ultimate price, we're going to, honor them every night. And so we use your song. Now, I just got to tell you, I'm a Shrek. For those that know me, I'm about 600 pounds, and I'm 600 pounds. I'm about 6'6" and about 300 pounds. I'm solid, and and I listen to that song. Now, be honest. When you first wrote that song, you can't tell me that song doesn't move you emotionally when you sing that.
Soldiers of America?
Yeah, Soldiers of America.
That was the first song that I ever wrote with this band. I wasn't even in the band when I wrote Soldiers of America. It was just a piece of music on a website that they had that I was doing kind of some research on before I even went in for an audition. I wrote that song. Wow. So that was the first real Madison Rising song that was ever written by me.
Okay. Now the cameos in there, is that your family or?
The kids?
Yeah.
No, we were actually recording in Hoboken, New Jersey at the time, and I think they're called the Kids of Hoboken, or the Hoboken Choir, or the Hoboken Children's Choir, or something. Just so happened to be recording in a connecting studio, and we're all like, man, it'd be great to have these kids on this track. And we asked they were obviously working as well. They were putting together a Christmas album or something. And, we said, would you guys be willing to jump in on this and help us out and do the kids? And even in the recording, I've always said that I don't know why they kept I wasn't involved in the production back then. My voice should not be in there. It should be those kids, and that's it. And I don't know who made that decision to keep me in there, but I still want to beat them for it. And there may later down the road be another Madison Rising version that has just the kids, because they sound wonderful, and they were just amazing. They were really excited to work with, a rock band. And when we got the albums and stuff, they got them, and they were really, really happy to be on like a rock record. They thought that was pretty neat, and I think it really, hopefully, set up a good example for them. And not only as musicians, but as as Americans and kids in general. And I think that's one of the things that Madison Rising does well, is that we have the ability, and me being a father and of two boys, I have the ability to write, within the parameters of a child's mind that can understand some of the things that, basically go on in this world and in this country. And I hopefully, like the Star Spangled Banner and America the Beautiful and God Bless America, they're great songs, and kids seem to dig them. So, that's kind of a cool thing that Madison Rising has, is fans from 8 to 80 all the time, because literally we have little kids jumping around at our shows, and then we got the walkers and everybody else in the handicap section, and everybody enjoys it. The flags come up, and it's a good time.
Yeah, actually, it was funny because my father and mother were here visiting us, and it was when we first started the show, and my mother, I won't tell her age, but she's celebrating her birthday and stuff. We were playing the music, and they were kind of like, "Who's that?" And they were, because I grew up, obviously, the music I listened to was the stuff that they frowned on, obviously, and and they heard that, and they're like, "Well, that's actually pretty good music, Jeff. It's not the crazy stuff that you normally listen to." So there you go. You're right. You got from 8 to 80 and everything. I know you're busy, and I appreciate very much for you taking the time out of your schedule and everything to get on here with us. And if there's, if you're ever in the Chicago area, or if you're ever in the Milwaukee area where you're thinking about putting a show together, let me know. We'll get a crowd out there for you.
Yeah, man. I'm at the Chicago airport for 3 days a week. Never fails. I'm there. Never fails. I'm stopping in Chicago. So I haven't figured out why some of those restaurants don't smell the best yet, but it's all good.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I try to stay out of Chicago as much as possible. That place is just, it's crazy.
I'm cursed, man. I swear, as soon as I go in that place, like a red block goes over my face on every camera, and everybody's just after me at that point.
Oh yeah. I
told my wife the other day I'm going to walk around there with like a big soft pillow and just start smacking people with it.
No, it's a whole different world, and people just
it is really crazy.
People don't.
And the earbud mafia, the people that just don't even acknowledge anybody else's human existence. It's just, I got my earbuds in. I'm too cold to even look at you or get out of your way. I love it.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, and a lot of people give New York, grief and stuff. Well, at least people in New York are cussing at you, or saying something to you.
You can hear them coming.
Yeah.
If they're not cussing at you, they're just cussing in general.
Yeah.
Like you gotta love the guys who just walk around just blatantly laying down the bombs, dropping the bombs as they go. But yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, Chicago.
But no, thank you so much, and I appreciate you having us on. And I'm a little tired, and I apologize for that. But God bless you and your show. I understand that you're moving up to bigger and better things, and you deserve it, brother. And
thank you.
You Shrek on, all right, man?
I appreciate it, man. And we'll be in touch, my friend. But take care of yourself. So that's Dave with Madison Rising. Like I said, I highly recommend that you go out to, great music, just great Americana music. And, you guys know the show well enough that, I don't endorse, or I don't say, it's my show. If I don't like something, I'll let you know. It won't be on the show. But I love their music. We put their CD in today and actually listened to it. I listened to it so much through MP3 and everything. This doesn't do it justice. Just the music just does not do it justice. So tonight, as you guys know, as my listeners know, we are in a transition. Dave actually kind of mentioned it. You know, we're working with the studio. We're getting geared up to go to terrestrial radio, which means, you know, AM, FM dials. And, you know, the Arbitron numbers came back. Well, the numbers came back for us, and we're at 2,000 plus listeners a show. That's phenomenal for a show such as ours, and we're infants. We've only been here. This is our 5th week. We're going on our 5th week now, and it's just incredible. And we actually have the same amount of listeners on our show that a mid-market would be like a city like St. Louis, Milwaukee would have. You know, we're not a top market, Chicago, LA, or New York, but we're a mid-market comparable. So we're growing. And one of the things that we're having to do is change our format a little bit. And you're going to hear some changes in the next couple of days. We're not going to do anything too crazy this week, but next week, you know, we've got a bunch of things coming in. We are going to drop the PSA ads. One of the complaints that I had in our negotiation was that we were going to go to a real ad. Either we're going to play ads or we're going to play music during the breaks. And they agree. Now, the good news is the only music that we're going to play during the breaks is Madison Rising and everything. I just love the music. And I'll continue to play it. So catch them on, you know, as you heard, they're on NASCAR. So this weekend, if you happen to catch the NASCAR race, look for them out there. Dave and them will be out there. Go out to the website, check out tour dates. If you can go to a show in the area, you know, highly recommend doing that. But, you know, go buy their CDs, support them, get the word out. I would love to see them. I was watching the World Series or part of it when I could, and it would just be incredible to see Madison Rising singing the Star Spangled Banner at the World Series. But, you know, the other thing, too, is that, you know, they have other songs. And, you know, tonight we're just going to be playing some of their other music, too, to kind of get you guys acquainted with it and everything. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. We're going to play another song here from Madison Rising. When we get back from the break, we'll take calls from callers. The lines are open, so we'll take your calls. We'll also talk about news. We're going to discuss a little bit about Bill Clinton getting a race card pulled on him. Not race car, race card by the Obama administration. We're going to talk about top Obama officials refusing to answer to the Senate panel, ISA. You know, we're going to be talking. We got tons of things. We got a Virginia imam calling for jihad on America. Just a jam-packed night full of news and information, and, of course, your calls. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
They say that the country's done. They say that the stock market's gonna crash. They say that every single one of us is gonna lay down while they walk across our back. But I'ma stand up. I'm gonna put my fists in the air. No, I don't wanna have to bring my guns, but I'll be ready if it goes there. But you can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country and you right now. But I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. 'Cause we're the epitome of what's left of the USA. We're hardworking, honest, and we make our money the good old-fashioned way. But you can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. But get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country and you right now. But I belongs there. So let's stand her up and brush off the dirt and dust. A Lady Liberty needs our help from every single one of us. But you can lay it down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that tyranny is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there, yeah. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes.
Out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. Last break we had Daybreak from Madison Rising on the line. That song that you heard was another new release off of their album. And, highly recommend. Go out to their website, take a look at it. Now, we are having, I just got a text message. We are having a little issue with routing of the 1-800 numbers. So if you want to get, we're working on it right now. They're working on it as we speak. But if you want to join in to the conversation, you can always call us at 347-205-9899. That's the direct number. That number is 347-205-9899. Now we're going to get the 800 number up and running here in a little bit, and you can always reach us on Skype. Our Skype name is the Midnight Patriot. That's the Midnight Patriot. So we got a ton of news. You know, it's been a while since I've actually been able just to sit down and talk with you. You know, we have, you know, we've had for the last 2 weeks, we have nothing but guests on the show and everything. And, you know, this is a great opportunity for us to kind of sit down and talk and communicate about everything that's going on. Because usually when we have guests, as you guys know, we have long conversations. And we don't have time usually at the end of the show to, you know, to reach out and talk with our fellow patriots and stuff. Well, tonight we have that time. We have the time to do that. And so I would recommend, you know, if there's something that you want to talk about, join us. Give us a call at 347-205-9899. When we take our next break, we should have the 1-800 number up and running by then. They're working on it right now. And it'll just be a few minutes. It's a routing issue. And so they'll get that to us. But you can always join us at 347-205-9899. Kind of open topic tonight. Or, of course, you can join us on Skype if you go to the Midnight Patriot is our Skype name. But, man, what a just incredible week. What an incredible week. I mean, you know, obviously the government, our president, his administration, finally had an opportunity to come clean with the American people. And they couldn't even tell the truth during that. It's amazing. You know, and I go back to this. You know, I just don't know what it's going to take. You know, obviously they feel that they're untouchable. Obviously, they feel that there's no repercussions for their actions. They've been getting away with it for so long. And you got to understand, this is not just a presidential issue. This is you know, this is what we deal with, or what we dealt with in Chicago. This is typical Chicago politics. You know, this is typical Chicago politics. And, you know, so welcome to our world, right? As we would tell you, welcome to our world. If you lived in Chicago long enough, welcome to what we deal with. You know, we've been dealing with for the last 15 years. Now, I will tell you, there is a mass exodus from Chicago going on right now. You know, I kind of feel like an expat, and it's continuing. We moved actually across the border. We're now in Wisconsin. Governor Walker, now he's a Republican. Very strong Tea Party ties, has just transformed this state. Like the great state of Texas, Wisconsin's open for business. And there's a lot of businesses that are moving here from Illinois. For those that don't know, you know, obviously, what you do know about Governor Scott Walker is that he led the fight against the public unions. And he won. And he saved the taxpayers of Wisconsin literally hundreds of millions of dollars annually. And what does that translate to? Cheaper income tax. We're getting an actual income tax credit this year. We're going to get money back from the government, state of Wisconsin. What else does that mean for the people? Lower property taxes. Yes, I said it. Lower property taxes. Our tax rate for property taxes actually gone down. So it does work. It does work. And we're seeing it. Wisconsin's open for business. I mean, it's just incredible, the amount of business that we're seeing here in the great state of Wisconsin coming here. So it does work. It does work. Now, as we said before we went into the break, you're starting to see a distancing from this president, from his own party. I think the best indication of that was McAuliffe. McAuliffe was a shoo-in. Everybody thought that he was a shoo-in. But really he wasn't. And if it wasn't for the Democrat PACs who actually propped up a libertarian candidate that split the vote from the Republican candidate, we would have a Republican governor in that state. It's just one more state that we could probably get an Article 5 agreement on. But we lost that. In the GOP, for whatever reason, well, we know the reason. They're scared of the Tea Party movement. Look how they're treating Cruz. Look how they're treating Rand Paul. And a lot of people don't realize, or they do realize, the GOP is threatened by them because the old guard, the old way of doing things is now being threatened. And we talked about that. Now, I know there's a lot of calls out there for, we need to start another party. We need all to go to libertarian. We need to do all this. And more power to you. We're for that. We are for people standing up and taking control of our political system. And I've said this, and I'll say it again, we need statesmen in Washington, D.C., in our houses of government, not politicians. We need individuals who will stand up and treat the government like you treat your households. If you can't afford it, you don't buy it. If you want to get ahead in life, you need to work more. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying that those that are indigent, those of the less, physically, should not get assistance. I'm not saying that at all, and I don't think any patriot's saying that. I think we all believe we should take care of our vets, our children, and our elderly. But if you can Facebook, or if you can drive a car, or if you can dial a phone number, then there's no reason for you to go work, right? You can Facebook all day long, sit at home and Facebook all day long. There's computer entry jobs for you, right? There's filing jobs for you. If you can drive a car, there's delivery jobs for you. There's manual labor. I'm sorry that you don't want to get out and dig a ditch. I'm sorry. But the reality of it is I went to the same public school you did. I'm no different than you. I probably got in the same amount of trouble you did when you were in school. The problem is that I chose not to live that life anymore. I chose to straighten my act up. The problem is you choose to live that life. Even in today's society, and this is the thing that I think a lot of patriots get upset about. I know I do. Even in today's society, you can be the lowest despicable criminal. And if you reach for help, and this is great, this is something that's great about America. If you reach out for help, there's always going to be someone there to help you. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to give you what you want. It's kind of like what we do here, what I say here all the time. God doesn't give me what I want. He gives me what I need. But there's help. And a good indication of that is that in most states, you actually, if you stay at home and do nothing, you actually make more money than minimum wage, than most minimum wage earners. In some states, it comes out to about $135 a day that you receive by doing nothing, sitting at home. So, that's the frustration. Like I said, can't be too far off. You got that phone, you're driving your car. You know, there's jobs out there for you. You just don't want to get them. Those days are coming to an end. I don't care what this administration promises you. Because right now what they're doing is they're hurting, not hurting, but hurting the middle class. They're consolidating us. There's a point in which we're waking up and we're going to say no more. And even if their plan was successful, if you listen to Jake Danishvesky, a guest on our show, Danishvesky, came from the former Soviet Union and grew up in a socialistic, communistic country. He'll be the first one to tell you, those that don't produce don't eat. Those that don't produce don't eat. See, the thing, let's just pull up a chair. Let's be blunt. Let's be frank with each other. The problem with what's going on today, and the reason why we don't see it yet, because they don't have control. They don't have control. There's 80 million gun owners, right? Guns. They would like to take them away from us, and they're trying their darndest to do that. But they know that they don't have control yet. There's a reason why our government is spending so much money on domestic programs of surveillance and control, because they're trying to get that control. Now, once they get that control, who do you think is going to suffer the most? You got to understand, they need you to vote, right? They need your vote. That's why they're trying to get amnesty passed. They need that vote. That's why they give you all these programs and tell you don't worry about being responsible for yourself, because they need your vote. But once they got your vote, do you really, really think that they care about you? When's the last time you actually seen a politician in a soup kitchen when there wasn't photographers around? Now, granted, they go there. This is the season of that type of photo op. But when do they really care about you? If they really cared about you, don't you think that they would have implemented rules that instead of oppressing you and locking your family members up and sending you away to prison, they would actually get you the help that you need? And I'm not talking about handouts. I'm talking about help. Don't you think that if they really cared about you, they would do that? They don't. There's certain communities in this country, and if you look at them, you just can't help but not see it. That the same communities that they pander for your vote is the same community that they violate your rights, that they lock your men and women up, that they, abuse you, profile you. You not see that? So once they get their vote, and the only reason why it hasn't gone as far as it's gone, I've always said economic slavery is still slavery. You didn't cast the chains of slavery off. You just replaced them with another form. And that's what they have. It's our goal as patriots not to hold people down, but to bring people up. We want everybody to have the same rights and it's not. And you know what? I get angry. And you should too. It's not a black, white, Hispanic thing. Now, where does that come from? That comes from the government. If you look at it, that's where it comes from. It comes from the race baiters out there. I said a word, race baiters. But it does. Most people, if you think about it, we all have the same goal. We want to provide for our families. The problem is that there's certain people that provide for their families, and there's other people that the government provides for your families. And the problem is that when you're under control, when the government, and they figured this out, America, they figured it out. And so they shackle you, and they put you in areas in the community in which, frankly, there's no hope. There's no hope. And the problem is they keep the people that can help you the most out of your areas because they keep us in fear of you. They keep us in fear of you through media, through distortions. We're all people. We all are given inalienable rights by our Creator. We all are. And until you start pushing against that, until your leaders start seeing that, instead of trying to have power over you as well, we're going to always be in this constant battle with each other. Always. You have to rise above it. And I'll tell you, when you rise above it, there's a patriot movement, a movement in America that will help you. It's not a government. It's not a handout. It's not an easy, free way. But when you choose to unshackle yourselves from that way of living, there is a group of patriots that will be there to help you, to support you. That's how you affect change. That's how you bring America back to its glory. That's why here at the Midnight Patriot, we're strong believer in community, family community. Build your family, get your house right. Once you get your house right, get your community right. You know, it breaks my heart. I walked through Chicago. You know, I've told this story before. When I turned my will over to the will of God, was because of a homeless man. Had so much, one man, homeless, very meek. The meek shall inherit the earth. He changed my heart. He did. You know, just, you know, story I share all the time. Because, you know, even the meek can change the hardest of hearts. And he did. So we're all in this together, America. But it, you know, once again, as we said earlier, you know, this administration thoroughly enjoys pulling the race card out. Why? It's control. It's control. And it's even gotten so far to the point that they're going to turn against their own. Turn against their own. Bill Clinton. We got President Clinton. When we get back from the break, we're going to take a break here, play a little bit more Madison Rising music. But when we get back from the break, I'm going to play you this clip. You got to hear it. It's fascinating. But it just goes to show you there's no loyalty amongst thieves. None whatsoever. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. When we get back from the break, you know, during the break, I'm going to work on the 1-800 number. We'll get that turned up. But in the meantime, you can always call us at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. Join us on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot.com. control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. You can join us here every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com 24/7 for all the latest show information. Just got a little update here from our 1-800 provider. They're having an issue routing the 1-800 to our actual call-in numbers. So we're working on it. They're working on it. But if you want to talk to us, give us a call at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. Or you can reach us through Skype. Join us on Skype. Our Skype name is The Midnight Patriot. So right before we went off to the break, we were talking a little bit about what's going on in this country. And how there's help. There's help. It's not in the government, though. The government's not there to help you. It's there to buy your vote so we can get more power, more control. Now, they announced today, talk about power and control and votes. They talked about today, there's going to be no amnesty deal. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. The corporations that pull the strings in the GOP are as powerful as the special interest groups that pull the strings in the Democrats. So don't believe that. I think what they did is they consolidated their message. Because the message was that before McCain, we're going to have a vote after the midterms. Right? We're going to have a vote after the midterms. That didn't sit well in America. Because that means you're still going to have the vote. And a lot of Americans fought back at that and said absolutely not. Absolutely not. So now what do? They come out and say, oh, there is no amnesty deal. Don't hold your breath. This Congress, this government, this administration has already shown you that they will tell you one thing and then do another. And even though there is no amnesty by congressional law, by law, there's still an amnesty going on. This administration is refusing to prosecute those that are here illegally. It's a form of amnesty. This administration is suing states who enact laws, voter ID laws. In essence, they're getting the vote. This administration is allowing the UN consulate of Mexico to open a consulate office in the Carolinas in which they can then issue IDs. Yeah. Circumventing the current law of the land. So there's still amnesty going on in this country. Without a doubt. We see it. It's there. And most Americans, don't understand. You wake up, have you ever had that feeling where you wake up and you just know something's not right? Doesn't feel right? That's how most of Americans feel. But they don't know what it is because they still believe that the government has the all-nurturing, caring government. Cannot be that evil. But I say to you, if I were the here we go. Here's a good example. If Ted Cruz, and I'm not saying this, it's all hypothetical. If Ted Cruz was seen with a book that was dedicated to Lucifer. To Lucifer. If Ted Cruz saw, or, someone took a picture, and Senator Ted Cruz, not saying it would ever be, just, don't flame me, I'm saying hypothetically, was seen with a book that was that was dedicated to Lucifer. Do you think the media would be all over that? Absolutely they would. They would be over that. Call him a Luciferian. There would be exposés every night. They would drug up his kindergarten teacher who said that, one day he came to kindergarten and he was throwing up. And he said something that we couldn't understand, so he was talking to the devil. That's how media works, right? Bear with me here. If our media would do that in a hypothetical scenario, why isn't it doing it in the real world? We've already established on this show and other media outlets, not just us, and I don't think they'll deny it, the godfather of community organizing is Sal Alinsky. He is the godfather of community organizing. No question about it. No arguments. Nothing. He wrote a book, which is the playbook of the community organizing movement, called Rules for Radicals. Rules for Radicals. Need to pull it up here. Need to go get my copy. Yes, I have a copy. You should have a copy too. Because if you were going to the Super Bowl and you had the opportunity to have your opponent's playbook, wouldn't you get it? Of course, most people would, that's not honest. But really, if you had the opportunity to study their films, let's put it in a statement of integrity here. If you had a opportunity to study your opponent's films to understand everything they do, wouldn't you do that? That's what the football team does, right? That's what every sports team does. They pay people to do that. So I'm telling you, that is something that you need to get so that you will understand where this president's coming from, who his leaders are, his mentors, right? And in that book, I'm pulling it up for you. I'm going to read it to you. Sal Alinsky makes three references. Dedication. Let's, one to a rabbi, one to a former statesman, and this is the third one. Lest we forget at least an over-the-shoulder acknowledgement to the very first radical from our legends, mythology, and history. The first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and did so effectively that at least he won his own kingdom. Lucifer. That's who Sal Alinsky dedicated Rules for Radicals to. That's the playbook that this administration currently uses. There are a lot of evil things in that book, a lot of amoral behaviors and teachings and acceptabilities in that book. But you don't have to go far to find the red herring, the flag, the thing that should be jumping out at you. So go back to my story about Ted Cruz. If Ted Cruz was walking around with a book that was dedicated to Lucifer, the media would be all over it. Senator Ted Cruz. This administration and this media completely ignores the fact that this president openly execute the playbook and the plan of a gentleman and of a book that is dedicated to Lucifer. Now, everybody's, I just said that President Obama is a Satan worshiper. I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying, he could be. Don't know. Don't have the facts. But what I am saying is that he is using a book that is clearly dedicated to Lucifer. That I do know. And thus, that's what we report here. Now, also in that book, that clearly says, do whatever you got to take to get in power. Lie, cheat, steal. Tell your friends and your foes that they're your friends. Do whatever you got to do to push your agenda. Now, I don't think it's any secret that the Clintons and the Obamas really didn't like each other. A lot of people don't know this. The whole birther movement actually started with Hillary Clinton's camp. They were the ones that released the speculation. Now, of course, it's been followed up, and investigators have looked into it. So there's no love lost there. None whatsoever. It's obvious. It's very obvious. Very obvious. So, but to the point now, now that this administration's done using the Clintons, they're going to throw former President Bill Clinton under the bus. This is his own words. I'm not making this up. President Bill Clinton.
Also, one more question. I had a story on Morning Edition this morning which talked about how Philadelphia's black political leaders came out early in support of Senator Clinton, but several have switched. And one was quoted as saying the turning point for her was during the South Carolina primary when you referenced Jesse Jackson and what she interpreted as marginalizing Obama as the black candidate. I mean, do you think that was a mistake, and would you do that again?
No, I think that they played the race card on me. And we now know from memos from the campaign and everything that they plan to do it all along.
Played the race card on him. Imagine that. There's an old saying in the South. Sleep with dogs, come up with fleas. Sit in a barber chair long enough, you're going to get a haircut. What do you expect? What do you expect? This is an administration. And, like I said, look at how they treat their supposedly friends. Look at how they treat their friends. So once again, I'm just, letting you know. Do you really think they care about inner city kids? Do they? They ain't got an ounce of decency towards their supposedly allies. They'll use you until they get what they want to get from you, and then they'll discard you. They will lie to you. They will continually lie to you. I'm not even going to play the audio clips anymore. It's gotten to the point now to where it's just not even worth playing. You know, we all know that this president has lied to the American people. Now, the mainstream media, he might enlist the mainstream media to spin it any way that they want to. But we know it. And this is how crazy, this is how desperate this administration has gotten. Here you go. Ed Schultz.
I want to talk about President Obama's interview with Chuck Todd last Thursday, where it was reported in the media that the president has apologized to all of those people out there who were losing their insurance. Really? He's apologizing? That's kind of not how I saw the interview. The way I saw the interview is the president was apologizing for the inconvenience
Here comes
that
the
people are
spin.
having to go through to actually go to a policy where they're going to get some real coverage. The apology should be coming from the conservatives. The conservatives should be apologizing for having no plan and no option for any of the people that you've just seen illustrated on this program.
It's our fault.
And they should be apologizing to the 50 million Americans who have been without insurance because, damn it, they've been sick.
It's our fault. It's the GOP's fault. See that? See the spin? It's just a matter of time. I'm waiting for Bush. Waiting for Bush. It's Bush's fault. He built a website that took 50,000, and we thought that was going to work, and so we built our website on 50,000. Well, Mr. President, that still doesn't float with us because you only signed up 27. Now, you tried to push it. You got to laugh because it's pathological. It's, you know, you got children. I have to say, I have beautiful daughters, girls. I was blessed with girls. Boys, I think, are more susceptible to this. Girls have done it. You know, I'm sure my daughters have done it. I just don't remember it. As fathers, we kind of look past those things. But I got, you know, beautiful girls. But, you know, you have kids. Cookie jar smashed. Come into the kitchen. Cookie jar smashed. All over the floor. What happened to the cookie jar? I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. Were you trying to get a cookie? No, not me. As they got crumbs dripping down their face, you know, milk splashed on the counter. No, it wasn't me. Right? That's how this that's how this administration's become. Well, it wasn't me. Don't know what you're talking about. And the problem is they got their media whores. And I apologize for using that word, but I think that's an appropriate word to use in this case. They got their media whores now out there trying to spin it. The Rachel Maddows, the Ed Schultzes, trying to spin it. Oh, they should be apologizing because they don't have a plan. Well, yeah, we had a plan. It's called free markets. The same plan that worked all along. You go to work, you get insurance from your employer. The reason why cost of medicine, this is the thing I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Because they drown it out. The media drowns it out. The reason why medicine was so expensive is because of all the individuals, the 43%, who feel that they're entitled to health care. Or, you know, like, I'm entitled, you know, that's the same mindset that says, I'm entitled to have a BMW now, go buy me one. I'm entitled, you know, to have a truck. I want that Ford truck, Super Duty. Go buy me one. You're not entitled to anything. Really? The only thing you're entitled is what you create. And that's the problem with this administration. They got away from that, this government. They got away from that belief that you're entitled to what you create in this world, not what we give you. But of course, they found out if we give them, then we can buy their votes and we can get more power, more control. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, yeah, today came out in the numbers. 106,000. That was a lie. That was a lie. What they were counting is how many people went to the website. The true number is somewhere in about 27,000. 27,000 people signed up. Out of a country of which you got roughly, I think the number's going to be about 20 million right now without health care insurance. You got 20 million. You know what that means? There is 19,964. I don't do math. I went to public school. Don't have a calculator. Don't have my hand. Americans who know the screw job that they're getting. That's what that means. You got 19 million people plus almost 20 million people who don't have insurance because they got the letters. We know that. Had another million, I guess, in California today. Added the rule. When it's done, about 50 million people are going to lose their health care. And some are saying 120 million before it's all said and done. Mr. President, I would be nervous. You're waking up the American people. And like 9/11, when those flags the next day hit the porches of the American people, that's what you're seeing. That's what you're going to see in this country. You have effectively, through your inability, your greed and your lust and your Lucifer practices attributed to Saul Alinsky, you're waking up America. It is coming. We are waking up. If you'd like to join in the conversation, join us at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Give us a call at area code 347-205-9899. This is your show. We're going to take a break. When we get back from the break, obviously the music, we got some more clips for you. We really do. But we'd like for you to join the conversation. This show is for you. It's an extension of the conversations we have on a daily basis with fellow patriots on Facebook, Twitter, different chat rooms, blogs that we do, that we blog on. Love to have you. Love to have you join the conversation. And the best way to join the conversation is to give us a call at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. The 1-800 number is not working. Or you can Skype us at themidnightpatriot.com.
It's time to go, my country's calling me. country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. And I'll go walking through that door. I'm leaving with my head high. Serve my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. All my children love me. I'll come back alive. All my children love me. I'll come back
Out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can join us right here live every night from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Wow, what a show. You know, it's good to be able to talk to you, to be able to have that conversation. You know, we've been doing a lot of guests. I mean, you know, obviously we like guests. We like our guests. A lot of knowledge, a lot of information. But I haven't had the opportunity to just kind of sit down and talk with you, my fellow patriots. And that's what this show is all about. Sitting down and having that conversation. Sitting around the table, the dinner table, having the conversation. So, without getting so frustrated, without getting frustrated about you can't help but not get frustrated about Obamacare. There's so much more news we need to cover. Some things that we need to address here. I've said this. We all know that as patriots, our fundamental Christian beliefs are under attack in this country. We have now made it to the list of groups or organizations that even the military is concerned about. When we'll kind of talk about the purging of the military. 2 new generals today were let go. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I want to talk about is this imam, this Islam imam in Virginia, who's calling for a jihad on our soil. Now, I understand the freedom of speech. I'm all for it. But he's calling for a jihad, a war, a holy war against America and against the American citizens. Can you believe that? That's just unbelievable. So, hey, Chase, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
It's going, man. It's going. I appreciate you giving us a call. This is Chase. Chase. What is that you're standing on, my friend?
Say again?
What is that you're standing on?
That is, hold on one second. That's a Bradley. I was a Bradley gunner and a driver for a while. With the 30th Heavy Brigade Combat Team here in the North Carolina National Guard. I did
sure.
I did 4 years active duty, and then I ended up going National Guard.
Okay. Well, thank you. Hey, thank you for your service, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we're talking about Islam.
Right.
Going into that, you got an article that you just picked up today that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, I run a page called Snafu on Facebook.
Yeah.
I got my staff sergeant on there. And I was reading one of my guys posted up, and it's funny how you said something about Virginia. There's actually an imam who is in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is he an imam, he is also a professor
yes.
let me see, where is it at? I believe it's also in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to do a jihad as well.
Yep.
And the whole article talks about how Muslims can take the property of Christians
Yes.
and Jews. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's I don't know. It's
I haven't seen it. I actually I grew up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Okay.
I went to college, graduated from Riverdale High School there. My oldest daughter, graduated from there. Just graduated this year. I went to Middle Tennessee. Sandy and we're both from Tennessee. She came from one end of the plant of the United States, from Florida. My father came from Michigan, and we kind of met in the middle in Tennessee, and that's how we've known each other. So I am very, very familiar with the temple there in Murfreesboro, and I'll let you do the story, but I can give you probably some insight of what the things that the news doesn't report, and it goes exactly to the property issue that you're probably going to be talking about here. So yep. Sorry for interrupting you, but I just wanted to let people know I'm very intimate with that situation that's going down in Murfreesboro, and also that imam.
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, the one in Tennessee, pretty much. All right, his name is Yasir Qadi.
Yep.
And I guess his birth-born Muslim name is like Abu Amar Yasir Qazi, which in 2011, the New York Times actually graded him as one of the most influential conservative clerics in American Islam. And pretty much, he's calling Christians, Najusa, which in Arabic is like crap. They're pretty much making fun of us because they say we're polytheists.
Yeah.
Polythesis.
Yep.
The Christians believe in, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, however you want to do it. And they believe, that the jihad is the establishment of monotheism on the land, or like the Holy War.
Yep.
So pretty much what he's doing is, he's calling for a jihad, and he's saying, these guys are all halal. Their property is halal. Their life and their property are free for the taking. And I think that's crazy. And I mean, I just wanted to call in and get, your your insight on it.
I'm going to give it to you.
Right.
Let me kind of, this is the thing. This is a huge misconception. When they say the Islam is a religion of peace, absolutely not. I've actually, unlike most, I don't listen to what, people tell me. I have actually read the Quran. In the Quran, there are 37 passages that basically say that if you don't convert to Islam, you're to be beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
You're either to pay a tax to Islam, right? You got to pay there's a dowry tax that goes to Islam.
Yeah.
Or you convert to Islam. And that is referenced and if you do anything, basically if you're not a Muslim, you have no property right. You have no rights in the Muslim world. Zero. None.
Right.
None whatsoever. I mean, and you can see that with the beheadings of the Christian priests and all that over there. And it is very, very clear. And a lot of your media will say, well, the Bible says that. Actually, there's only 3 passages in the Bible that say, basically heathens, go away. They're not saying, they're just saying heathens in general. You can be a Christian and you can still be a heathen, by not following the ways of Christ, as we all know. I mean, we see it every day in our churches. So,
right.
but we're not calling for the death of people, and we're not talking for the beheading. And now the property issue, you're absolutely correct that in the Muslim world, if you're not Muslim because you have no rights, you are a subclass citizen, and basically you're either executed or you got to pay a tax to the Muslim thing for the right to live on their land. That pretty much tells you don't have right to land use or land property. And that's the argument. A lot of people were, the mainstream media in Murfreesboro was saying that it was a, religious. They have the right to religion. My family still lives there in Murfreesboro. So, we still stay in touch quite a bit. The problem is they built their model. When they originally went to their zoning, and they originally said, we're going to build a mosque, right? And the zoning said, all right, give us your plans. And they approved it. Then they said, well, we're going to move this. They they built their mosque, not out in the field, not out in the, they built their mosque right next door to one of the most conservative Christian churches in that area. And not only did they build it next to it, they put one of the walls right up to the property line. I mean, literally 20 feet from the wall.
Right. Let me stop you real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. If you remember, after 9/11, a couple years back, I believe.
Yep.
You remember they were talking about the Islamic religion had wanted to put a mosque up, near Ground Zero.
Yes.
In New York.
Yes.
And you know what that means, correct?
Absolutely, I know what that means.
I mean, it's pretty much, F you.
We won.
Take over your territory.
Yeah, we won.
And,
yep.
And see, and also back to the mainstream media, if any other religious group would have done that, it would have been all over the media.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's kind of weird. Well, not weird, but it just boggles my mind that, this guy's an imam. He's one of, the higher ups in this religion. And he's also a professor in Tennessee.
Yep.
And, him saying that, if I was a high school teacher and I said, we need to go kill these people, I would have lost my job.
Yes. Yes. They have a certain sense of protection in the United States because they use this thing, freedom of religion, and they're persecuted. And see, the problem is our administration thinks, this is the thing. It goes back to, we talked about this last week with immigration with Joe, with Joe, can you hear me now? This administration thinks that our government, I want to say this because it's pretty much, throughout all of our government, thinks that if you appease them, it's an administration of appeasement. If we treat them differently, then they're not going to be the rattlesnake that they are, and they're not going to bite us. You know that old Texas story, the guy's driving, he sees a rattlesnake ran over, he takes it home, he nurses it, he takes care of it, brings it back to life, and does everything. He's setting it out into the wild, and as he's letting it go, the rattlesnake comes back and bites him on there. He goes, why'd you bite me? He goes, I'm a rattlesnake.
Right.
And that's the same thing that's going on here. People don't understand. Their religion, which far dates our modern Christianity religion, dictates that they believe and they do certain things. And you can't change that, because if they don't adhere to their own religion, they're executed. Now, a lot of your moderate Muslims, now granted, I will say, a lot of your moderate Muslims came to the United States to get away from that, right? But the problem is the imams, the radicals, are coming here to try to bring them back into the fold. And prophesizing to them, just like the Christians would prophesize. The difference between a Christian prophesizing is that if you don't convert, they move on. Jesus, the Bible clearly says, dust the dirt off your feet and move on. The problem is with this group, if you don't convert, if they could get away with it, they would impose Sharia law on you and they would execute you. Right. And if they could, and we're seeing that in the States now. I mean, we got cases now where you have honor killings going on. I think in North Carolina, there was one just recently. There's one in Detroit. There was a group. See, America doesn't see this. We do, because we watch the news and not the news that's mainstream. There was a group of Christians that were in the city board did pass an ordinance recognizing Sharia law in Dearborn, Michigan. That was true. Now, can you affect Sharia law in the United States? Absolutely not. It would never fly with our legal system. Right. But they passed it. But then there were Christians that were there in Dearborn saying, this isn't right. Do you know what happened to them? It was never on the news, but you can go to YouTube and watch it. They were stoned. Stoned. A mob of Muslims, stoned these Christians. Did they have a right to be there? Absolutely. Because as long as they're not violating personal property, the laws, you have a right in this country to protest. It's amazing that they want to protest, but then when we want to protest, you can't do it. I mean, I lived in Skokie, and Skokie was where the big KKK protests happened up here in Illinois. And I when I moved to Chicago, and then I was living in Skokie for a while, and I started, but they still, Alan Dershowitz and those guys, they still said, yeah, we don't believe in what you're doing, but you have the right to protest. And they fought it, and they won that, and they did have the right to protest. Well, in Dearborn, you don't. If you protest in Dearborn against the Muslim religion, you will get stoned. There are videos, and I recommend people go out to the web and look at them, where they are literally taking stones and stuff, and they are pelting these Christian protesters. And it's unbelievable. But of course, you don't see that in mainstream media.
Right, and then going back to the persecution of religion, Christianity was legalized by Constantine I, and up until then, and even far after that, after 313, after it was legalized, way after that, 1600s, I believe Christianity, they were persecuting Christians as well.
Yep.
So it's, I call BS on that, the persecution of religion, because it's not only, they can't say, they can say that, but, Christians have the same thing that, Islam has gone through.
Yeah, let's take the West Barrel Baptist Church, right?
God.
Okay, but that's the extreme. That is what represents the extreme of this country.
Right.
Christianism, right, in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They will stand, they will do, and I don't agree with them, not one bit, so please don't, the listeners out there, don't think but let's take the most extreme Christian group in the United States, and let's compare them to the moderate Islam group, and you tell me there's something huge. They'll stand at funerals, and they'll call you baby killers, they'll call you adulterers because you got remarried, or all of that stuff, but they don't call for your death. They don't call for your beheading. They don't call for, and a lot of Americans don't realize this. The thing that irked me, and I'm looking for the video right now. I was going to play it the other day. This administration, when SEAL Team 6, when they were shot down, right? Mm-hmm. They brought them back, and they had a memorial service for them.
Right.
And I don't know, you as a military person, I'd just be furious about this at your commander-in-chief, but I understand. You got to be neutral. I understand. I get it. I know how that is. So I'll say it for you. So this administration had a service for the fallen Navy SEAL soldiers. So part of the service is that they had obviously a Christian, a Christian minister do, what Christians do.
Right.
And I'm going to get the video. When I go to the break again, I'll find it during break and I'll play it back because you got to hear this, but I'm going to just kind of sum it up. They had a Muslim cleric give his eulogy, right? And he sang a Muslim, it's a song of prayer, what they call it. When you translate the song, and I'm not laughing, it's just so despicable. When you translate the song that he was singing, he was basically condemning those soldiers to hell. And and our president, our commander-in-chief, allowed that nonsense to happen. And now I will find that when we go to the break, because I've got it queued up somewhere. I was going to share it with the audience the other night because I found it. But, of course he's doing his, he's doing what they call their prayer. But that prayer, if you translate that prayer, it is basically condemning those soldiers, calling them infidels, and that they are going to burn in the hellfires of hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where this is crazy. We need to stand up and say no more. And I don't know if you were over in country.
Oh yeah, I was there 2008, 2009.
Yeah. I mean, the people on the most part are for the most part are good. They're just like everybody else. They want to live. You know, they've been oppressed so long. They would just want to live. The problem is that they have no hope. So their hope is their religion. And the thing is you get, you know, these influential imams and stuff together, and they tell them that, you know, the only way that they're going to make anything out of their lives, I mean, and people in America just don't get it. They don't understand this. The only way that they're going to make anything of their life is when they do something for Allah, and whatever Allah is whatever they tell them, these clerics tell them to do. And they do it thinking that they're going to make the promised land. It's like dealing with a 3-year-old child, and you tell them, go over there and, you know, go over there and touch the hot stove. They're going to do it because they trust you as a parent that you're, you know, and that's kind of what goes on. That's the mentality over there, is it, you know, and it's not, you know, like I said, I don't want to attack the people, but the reality of it is that they're just sheep. And unfortunately, you know, we're becoming that way. I don't know why our country allows it. To be honest, I just don't. I don't get it. I don't understand, unless, of course, now, if you've I know you're a new listener to the show, but you know, we talk about the erosion. A lot of people will say that Obama is a Muslim. I don't know if that's because I can't prove that, but I can prove that he's a socialist, and I can prove that he's a communist. And they hate religion. So what's the best way to eliminate religion? You dilute it. And because
it's kind of funny, another guy had shared on my page yesterday on Veterans Day. I don't know if you've heard about it. I'll send you the link real quick, but apparently it's got a video, and Obama still had his mic on after he was doing the wreath laying over in Arlington.
Had it last night, showed it.
And that's just crazy. You know, he took, you know, Jesus' name in vain. You know, I'm not trying to push any kind of religion onto anybody. You know, everybody has their own, but you know, to like the Christian listeners, you know, that's like a giant embarrassment to the United States, especially, you know, that's an honor that the president has. On Veterans Day. It's kind of crazy, because as soon as I called in, you were like, you know, well, let's talk about imams, and then boom, and now it's just like, you know, okay.
Everything happens for a reason on this show, my friend. Everything. I mean, I'm a firm believer. I mean, it's all our success is attributed, and I don't have a problem. I'm not blunt about, or I'm not passive. I'm very blunt about my religious beliefs, because I know where I'm at in my life, and I know who got me there. And I'm very internally grateful to, you know, say that Jesus Christ, you know, has saved my life. And, you know, we talked about that on last night's show. At the very end of the show, I wanted to bring that up to people. Now, I'm going to give everybody a backstory. You know, we had Veterans Day on Monday, and the president does his annual, you know, laying of the wreath there at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. So during the ceremony, at the end of the ceremony, it wasn't during the ceremony, so there was no way he can say I was praying or I was doing. And you got to watch the video. CNN has it. You got to go out there and watch it. It's out on YouTube. Just say, you know, Obama says Jesus. At the end of the ceremony, he's walking up the stairs, and the general's there, and as he walks through the door, he says, you know, in what I would pair as disgust. He's like, Jesus, like, you know, why did I, you know, God, that was a long, you know, it was, you could only, I mean, you got to listen to the video, and you'll maybe come to the same clip, because I was like, you know, and a lot of the media was saying he was upset because the general actually walked in front of him, and that's what he was upset about. But it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, I mean, even if you look at the video, I mean, they're still walking side by side as they go inside. So, I mean, that's, I call BS on that.
I saw that, and I was furious, you know, but it doesn't make, how do I say, I'm not shocked. I mean, just today, the Army lost two generals.
Well, also, I
just
mean, today. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but at Camp Pendleton, there was four Marines that actually lost their lives today. On a range incident. So I mean, it just, I don't know, it pisses me off it's like I said, I mean, I'm a vet.
Yep.
And it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Because, POTUS is supposed to be, our commander-in-chief, and
Yep.
how are you supposed to trust somebody like that, if
Yep.
he's not willing, just to do the smallest sentiment, saying like of a replay.
Yeah, he had, and I'll just say, what opened my eyes against this POTUS was the fact that, when SEAL Team 6 was killed, and now there's I don't want to say rumors, but there's investigations that possibly those helicopters were shot by 4 different angles. It wasn't a lucky shot, know. They found that out, and so there's investigations going on there. But what really just set it off for me is when I found out that and you can, like I said, it's all out there on the web. The president, when he wrote his letter, our commander-in-chief, when he wrote the letters to the families, he didn't even write a letter. He took a word processing document, changed the name, did it like a mail merge, and we don't even know if he signed it. It might have been auto-pen. And the thing is that, for that, when I saw that, I said, this president is completely out of control. And, and God help you guys, that serve our uniform. I mean, we're seeing a systematic destruction of our military and our armed services. And this president has complete disdain. I mean, it's proven complete disdain for our military. I mean, his actions are, be it the form letters, be it the fact that, at the most solemn moment of our country's history, Veterans Day is the most solemn of our history. And it's a day of reflection and appreciation. And this president is disgusted the fact that he had to stand out there. It's completely just goes to show you. I don't know how you can serve under this president. And I got a lot of friends, to be honest with you, that have actually gotten out of the military, and they have cited the fact that they no longer have faith in the commander in chief, and they don't want nothing to do with it. And I've got Marine buddies who have literally said that's why they're leaving. These are career Marine guys who opted to get out. And one of the things you don't hear is we got Secret Service and that's unheard of. That is unheard of, that we have Secret Service who are now telling. Glenn Beck had one on the other day where he's just like, this president's out of control. And this is a guy that actually protected the president of the United States. And and he's like, I can't do it no more.
I don't doubt it. And I was reading somewhere, I can't remember where it was or if it was a video. One of the Secret Service guys that was with Obama actually stepped down, and he did an interview somewhere.
That was Glenn. That's the one I'm talking about, with Glenn Beck.
Okay, yeah, he came out and he said, he was disgusted with it.
Yeah, that's actually Glenn Beck. Let me see if I've got it here in my stack. I used to have it and stuff, but yeah, he was with Glenn Beck, and he was basically, telling Glenn Beck that he just can't do it anymore. He can't live that lie, and he's not going to anymore. And like I said, that in itself should speak volumes, because that is unheard of in this. Now, we have obviously SEALs, and we have military people that were disgusted with this president and everything, but this is an acting Secret Service agent who stepped down and said, I can't do this no more. I can't do this. I can't be a part of this destruction of our country. And it's just unbelievable. Yeah, that was with Glenn Beck. He's been on a couple shows though, but mainly Glenn Beck. You can probably Google it and find it. And I remember seeing him, as an agent, on many occasions. So it's not like he was a low-level agent. He was actually, in what they call the inner circle, you know, and it's unbelievable. It's crazy. So I don't know. God help us, right? I mean, we are at a epiphysis here, and we are looking into the abyss as a country, and we need to, do shows like this, get involved, and everything. So it's just crazy. Now, are you still active? Or are you?
No. Actually, I got out about probably 6 or 7 months ago.
So good for you. Now, have you joined up with a militia, or I don't want to get too personal with you, but have you joined up with a militia? Or are you still keeping current and stuff? Because we're going to need guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, I stay current with everything like that.
Okay. Good.
And I'm part of a couple groups on Facebook.
Sure.
If stuff does happen, I'm in the know of everything.
Good. I mean, because we need, and I tell people this all the time, is there's a point, there's a reason why our government is, they're labeling soldiers that are coming back, combat soldiers, with PTSD. I mean, there was a judge the other day who sentenced a guy, and basically part of the sentence was that because of his military training, he is a threat to society.
Right.
When you hear statements like that, you should take notice. When you see, we have 9 generals and flag officers who were discharged or demoted, for various, UC codes, but now there was 2 more today that were relieved of duty. You're seeing a systematic destruction and dismantling of our armed services.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's the music. Hey, Jake, I appreciate it. You want to stay on? You want to talk about some more things after the break, or are you?
I mean, that's totally up to you.
Hey, it's up to you. This show's for you. So, what we're going to do is we'll take a break. When we get back, we'll bring up some other topics, get some feedback. This is the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You're listening to us at www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can join in the conversation by Skyping us at The Midnight Patriot, or you can give us a call. I do apologize, our 800 number is not working, but you can give us a call on the landline at 347-205-9899. When we get back from the break, we got some more items that we're going to be talking about, and we got Jake, and we'll just kind of let it roll into the evening.
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting
America. Welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs, cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American...
out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
At this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care.
And will never have to pay St. Jude for anything ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. The best way that you're going to help us grow, and it's phenomenal. And I got to say, it's listeners like you that just bring this show to life. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of interest that we piqued. We've been doing this for about 5 weeks now. We've already got over 2,000 listeners. That's between live listeners, downloads of the various, and then also iTunes. iTunes represents about 40% of our share. So, it's incredible. We know people are listening. We are in negotiations with some terrestrial radio, possibly doing 2 shows. They want us to do a daytime show, and maybe that might be the way to go, so we can better serve you. But with 2,000 listeners, I just want to let you, that's a mid-market radio station. That's a station for like St. Louis, a state, Milwaukee, like Nashville, believe it or not. That's an outstanding number. Now we want to get into the major market, which is about 7,000 listeners. And then of course, we want to grow it from there. So on the line, we have Jake who stayed with us over the break there. Now, Jake, I found the video. And I'm going to play it here. Now, of course, it's going to be in Arabic, but I want people to hear it with their own ears, and then I want them to go out to the web and actually do this. This is the ceremony for the funeral of SEAL Team 6, where Obama hired and brought in this imam.
Gracious God, it is in faith.
Obviously, this is the Christian.
And a proud military commits the souls of the departed into your loving care. Amen.
I'm going to read this to you, the translation. Amen. I shelter the Allah from the devil who has been cast with stones in the name of Allah, the merciful forgiver. The companions of the fire, the sinners and the infidels who are father for hellfire are not equal with, there's a translation, so I'm translating. The companions of heavenly Muslims. Unfreaking believable that our president would allow this, our government would allow this, and the fact that they not only allowed it, but they don't deny it. They don't deny it and everything. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. So Jace, did you hear that? Did you I'm sorry for I don't speak Arabic that well, so I had to read the translation as the guy was saying it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's right there. It's got to the point where they don't even hide it anymore. They don't even hide it from us. It's out in the open and everything. So it's crazy. So another topic. Did you lose power today?
No, not that I know of. I don't think we did.
Yeah, there's a big. It was funny because I've gotten a lot of people are like, "Have you lost power yet?" It's like, no, we haven't lost power. And it's funny. I don't know if you know what was going on today.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, there was actually, for those that don't know, there's an exercise going on today and tomorrow where our NERC is actually simulating EMP attacks against the power grid in the United States. So they're doing, situational kind of training. Now they're not flipping any switches. That's what the NERC said. They're not going to flip any switches, but they're going to simulate attacks, and that's why we have. A lot of people don't know this, but we reported about it yesterday. We have Chinese soldiers in Hawaii working with our soldiers for humanitarian exercises. Mm-hmm. And then there's about 150,000 soldiers, I can't remember, total Russian soldiers that are along the West Coast right now, and it's all about a joint exercise on humanitarian relief and aid and all of that, which is kind of, I don't know. I don't ever remember the Chinese or the Russians doing that kind of, it's always been American doing that humanitarian aid. I mean, it's kind of strange that our government's reaching out to these foreign countries who have clearly said that we're enemies of them and asking and doing joint aid exercises with them. It's just, it raises a lot of red flags. Now, I'm not a fearmonger here, so I'm not going to tell you what I think's going on. I'm just telling you what is going on, and then you can draw your own conclusions. It's just, so you haven't heard anything about that?
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, Google. I mean, it's out there. It's out. A lot of the fringe shows, like are saying that there's a lot. I don't know. Like I said, I just know they're here. It's very well documented. I mean, there's pictures. They actually have them in Hawaii with the commander giving a speech to his soldiers. So it's. Last time I checked, there weren't palm trees in China proper. So, so it's obviously here. And then I know that there was a lot of joint exercises with Russians, especially along in Seattle in that area. I don't know if the number's correct. I mean, there were people that were saying 150,000. I find that kind of, that seems to be a high number, for troops on our soil, but like I said, they are reporting that they're here. I think the number is what's in argument or question and everything. So, but it's just amazing. I mean, it's like I said. Unfortunately, this job is not that hard. I mean, with all the news, especially when you report on the news and everything. So, we were. I don't know if you saw this. You watched Jeopardy?
I haven't watched it probably in about a month and a half.
Yeah, here you go. The Jeopardy had Teen Week where they had teens. Check this. This is how bad it's getting in this country. We actually have a teen who probably got more common sense than our current commander in chief. Here you go. A little report here.
All right, Barrett Block is from Lexington, Kentucky, a senior at Henry Clay High School. This young man is fairly serious because he's always dreamed of one particular ambition, and that is?
Being president one day, Alex.
President of the United States?
Yes, of the United States, yes.
You really want to take on that challenge, huh?
Yes, I think that I could really contribute something to our country. Maybe not at this age.
All right,
no.
All right, we understand it when you get older. But what would you bring to the presidency that we haven't had, say, in the last few decades?
Well, a sense of competence and accountability.
All right.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's almost comical. Here you go, a high school senior who now I promise you, he'll be audited when he gets his first job.
Oh yeah.
It's just amazing, and that's really where it's gotten to, where it is so blatantly obvious that it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a contestant on Jeopardy to point out the facts that this administration is just pretty much demise this country. I hope, I pray that we'll be able to get ourselves out of it. Mm-hmm. But there's a point in which we've doubled our deficit. And we went from 10 trillion, and now GAO saying we're going to be about 22 trillion by the end of February. It's just I don't know. I just don't know. I had a good friend who's an economist tell me that, you ever watch that movie Thelma and Louise? You ever watch that movie? I know it's a chick flick, but you shouldn't. Sandy and I, we watched it, and at the very end scene, right, where they're going off the cliff, they have two choices. They know they're going off the cliff. There's no question about that, but they can accelerate and go off the cliff, or they can just kind of fall off the cliff. Well, they chose to accelerate, and my economist friends are telling me that that's basically what we're doing as a country, is that, the cliff is there and it's unavoidable. We're not going to get around it. And we can either accelerate and jump and maybe give ourselves a few more years. Mm-hmm. But either way, we're still going off the cliff. And that's concerning.
Now, you were talking about China coming in to Hawaii. Let me ask you this, on your opinion on this. I think it was about 1 or 2, 3 weeks ago, I had seen something. I think it came through my phone, coming in through CNN, and it said something about Germany or Putin had found out that Obama was spying on like 2 or 3 guys, or their whole intelligence ministry, and that Germany was going to send in like intelligence agents.
Yes.
Sometime this month or next month. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, the argument that all countries spy on each other, that is true. I mean, we do. This is the problem, though, is that when you have a country who, such as America, who sits up there and acts holier than thou and belittles other countries for their actions, i.e., Russia and their spy apparatus and all that, and they do that. But then it comes out, and then it comes back, and it comes to find out that we're actually the greatest of the evil out there that's doing it. And like I said, all countries do it. But the problem is, it's kind of like your confidant or your lawyer. Say you're a lawyer, you go to your lawyer and you ask your lawyer for legal advice, and your lawyer says, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, tax evasion's not good, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And then a week later, he's being prosecuted for tax evasion.
Right.
There's a huge, and to tell you how insane it's gotten, when the chancellor's phone, when it came out that the chancellor's phone was being bugged or tapped, you had Kerry and you had the press secretary up there, talking to the media, saying, President Obama talked to the chancellor, and and he guaranteed to her that her phone wasn't being monitored, and there was that whole dialogue. And then we actually reported, we were like, well, wait a minute, it was the German Foreign Intelligence Agency who discovered that we were spying on the phones. It wasn't Snowden or anybody else. It was the foreign intelligence of the German party that said, well, wait a minute, no, you guys are spying on her phone. Well, then the next day it came out, well, yeah, we were spying on Merkel. Complete lack of credibility. Lack of credibility. And then you have, when all this is going on, I don't know if you knew this. A lot of audience members didn't know this, and this was news to them. When Obamacare first launched, you didn't see Joe Biden anywhere. He was nowhere. Did you notice that? He was nowhere to be found. Do you know why? He was in Russia. He was over in Russia, calming Putin down, because they were furious over there, because all this stuff was breaking, and the whole fact that, with what's going on in Syria, a lot of issues there, obviously. And I've always said that Putin is a smart man. He's a chess player. We're playing checkers, and he's playing chess. And I've said this. The reason why Russia stepped into Syria, and the reason why our administration was so adamant in going into Syria and starting another war, was because they knew that we have huge fiscal problems going on. We have a lot of other issues going on in this country, and like the movie Wag the Dog, they needed something to distract us, because they know that if we go to war, this country comes together and everything. And I think Putin being as smart as he was, is saying, we're not going to allow America to be distracted from their domestic issues. We're going to take that away from them. And this president had to face those issues, and we're having to face those issues. I mean, it was a great, a lot of people are saying Putin saved the world, and maybe he did, but I don't think he did it for the reasons why he did it. I think he did it because he knew that it would keep us from not being distracted, and we would have to face our problems, which we're doing right now. And this is, I can tell you, this administration's issues are going to destroy this country. I mean, no one believes them. When Fox News, fair and balanced, right? We all know that they're a Republican newspaper or media outlet. Everybody knows that. There are more Americans that believe Fox News, and this is an independent poll, that believe Fox News than they do the President of the United States. I mean, it's gotten to that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell by his approval rating as well. I mean, what is it at, 39% now? His
handling of the economy is at 9%.
Wow.
9%. The 30, and there's lies in those numbers. 39%, because you're going to have 15% that are just, they're going to drink the Kool-Aid. The Silvermans of the world, and here we go. Our first socialist mayor, who actually openly is a socialist mayor, just came out and won Seattle, and she ran on the agenda of socialism. She didn't run on, Democrat, all fair kind of thing. She flat out said, when she's elected, $15 minimum wage, rent control, caps on corporations and the profits in which they can make. If you're over a certain income, you are taxed so that you can pay for the infrastructure. And I'm not talking about like sewer and water infrastructure, as in like taxis and trains, and so that the common people. So I mean, that was her whole platform, and she was elected.
Right.
She was elected, first time ever. Her name is. Let me pull up her name here. I could pull this out because I actually had this in my stack. Kishma Sawant. Kishma Sawant. She so now she's the mayor of Seattle, and she's an open socialist. I mean, that's how far it's gone in this country. Where they don't even hide it anymore. They just say, "Yeah, I'm a socialist." I believe in socialistic ideas. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. And the fact that we, that as a country, we don't find anything wrong with that. Personally, I don't know where they're going to get the money. I just don't know where it's going to come from. China's not going to give it to us anymore. They're not buying our bonds.
Oh yeah.
They're not buying our bonds. You have we were talking about this the other day. You have one of the guys who created the QE2, not the QE2, not the sale ship, but the actual the quantitative easing, came back, and today, and this is not alternative. This does not come off of alternative news. This came off of Fortune. This came out of Financial Times. He came out and said that he is openly apologizing to the American people, because he is saying that the whole quantitative easing had nothing to do with helping the economy. It had everything to do to give corporations and banks money so that they can liquidate their assets and then move their assets or move their investments into hard assets, such as land and things of that nature. And he openly, and I don't know if he got God or if he got conscience, or if he's realizing that there is going to be a huge burning, with people in the streets with their torches and their pitchforks. But he actually, I have to pull this up for you, but we were talking about this earlier today, that he came back and said that he he openly, it's kind of, there's a great book called The Economic Hitman. I don't know if you read it or ever heard about it, but it was about a gentleman who actually worked for the New World Order in the banking system, and he basically was hired by the CIA and different agencies to go in these countries and basically buy these dictators out. Or not dictators, but these duly elected, I won't say dictators, duly elected political officials, in Venezuela and Argentina and all that. He would go in and say, look, either you become part of the IMF or we will destroy you. And he wrote a book called the Confessions of an Economic Hitman. No one is discrediting his position in the IMF. No one has argued that. But basically what it is that he said, I can't go on my deathbed knowing that I've done this to the countries and to the people of the world. So he actually goes and he literally confesses his sins, and he did it in a book. It's an excellent book, and it will explain to you how our system. But yeah, here we go. Andrew Hazar, the former Federal Reserve employee who executed QE, has written a Wall Street Journal op-ed apologizing for the unprecedented shopping spree. He's actually, this is a guy at the top who was over the QE, the quantitative easing, and now he's at the Wall Street Journal, and he wrote an article, basically a Wall Street article saying, I am sorry. That's how bad it's gotten. We have people, we have secret services that are, don't want to serve this president. You have people in the Fed that are saying, we don't want to be a part of this. You got an open socialistic agenda being voted in. You got a president who is completely dismantled or in the process of dismantling our command and control of our military. You have a president who has complete disdain for those that put on this country's uniforms. This is unbelievable. It's just, and now people want to know why I do the show. We got to get that word out. We got to get that word out. So your group on Facebook, what's the name of it? Can we give it out?
Yeah. It's called Snafu. I'm pretty sure, everybody knows what Snafu means.
Yep.
And pretty much, I started it, probably about 4 or 5 months ago.
Sure.
And basically, it was just a place where soldiers could, come and BS. And it kind of grew. We started out, I think we had like 100 people.
Sure.
And now we're like 6 away from 2,100.
Wow.
And we've gone out, we're QRF, Quick Reaction Force, for like any soldiers who need help or anything like that. We're here.
Sure.
24/7. We got 7, 8, 9 different admin on the page.
Sure.
So if anybody ever needs to talk, we're always here.
Which that's great to know, because I know that you're a new listener. So have you heard what we do for the soldiers here on the show?
No.
Okay. You're going to hear it in a little bit. So, because one of the things that we do is that we do an honor for the fallen. It's a segment of the show, and we're going to do it here a little bit before we end and everything for the evening. But, one of the things, it's great to know, that's awesome that you do that. And like I said, nothing happens out of chance, because one of the things that we do is we do an outreach program for soldiers as well. And we try to get them the services that they need via, Wounded Warrior, all of the different organizations. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart, and I got to tell my listeners this, this, but right now in the United States, there are 22 soldiers that take their lives every day.
Right.
And we have to, and it's, and currently under our system is that it takes 356 days on average for a soldier to get the medical benefits that they've earned, through the VA system. And it's amazing, because we talk about how you can go into a welfare office and within 10 days, get your SNAP card and your free medical and all that, where a soldier, it literally, the VA, it takes 356 days, almost a year, for them to get the services that they need. And it's not a thing of, it's just waiting. During that time, they're having to fill out multiple pieces of paperwork. They're having to, they're constantly having to prove to the government that they truly have combat-related disabilities, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, there's a soldier that was they said he was the worst non-mortally combat soldier. He's a triple amputee, all this stuff, and our government sent him a bill for $4,700 because they said that they overpaid him. And so now they're saying that they're going to take it out of his disability check. This is a man who, is still with us, thank God. And triple amputee. So those are issues. So yeah, if you hang around the show, you're going to hear that. We do it every night. As long as there's a soldier that has paid the ultimate price, we honor them and their family. So it's good to know, though, that you guys are out there, because I can direct some soldiers. I'll get about 3 or 4 phone calls from family members in this area and stuff that heard our show, and we usually put them in touch with Wounded Warrior. We'll put them in. I have a couple VA administrator buddies, vets as well, and I'll, especially in the local area, will help them. The main thing is just helping them with their paperwork, and making sure that they have, the paperwork that they need. And then of course we have vet friends that will make sure that they get to their appointments and stuff. And just, the other thing too is just talking to them, getting them help. But yeah, when you got 22 soldiers, America just doesn't realize that we have 22 soldiers a day committing suicide. And it's just something that it's a shame. It's a blight on our national, at our nation. I can't describe. It chokes me up. It really does.
Oh yeah, and I mean that number. I don't foresee that number going down anytime soon. It's only risen so much. Within the past few years, and that's like you're saying, that's unacceptable.
Yes.
And also, you were saying about helping guys out with paperwork. We actually have an admin on the page. I believe he works with the VA doing paperwork as well.
Sure.
So if any guys need any help with any kind of paperwork like that for like disability or anything like that, I can send you the link after the show's over with. I can get up with you.
Yeah.
And we can exchange information like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we would I didn't know that you did that. So what we'll do is actually I'll get you guys scheduled, and we'll do a whole show on you guys and your organization. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything we can do to help our soldiers and stuff, we're all for that. So we'll make the time. And I didn't know that. I know we talked briefly through chat and stuff, so I will definitely make the time and get you guys in here, and we'll actually do a feature on you and get links and banners and all of that stuff set up for you as well. And anything that you guys need. Do you have a website other than Facebook?
No, we're actually working on a website right now.
Okay.
Hopefully Monday or Tuesday. I'm actually running up through one of my guys. He does a lot of website work. And he's gonna, help put me in the right direction. I just need to get everything squared away as far as what I'm gonna have on there.
Sure.
So hopefully by the end of next week we'll have something, that I could send you a link to. Yeah,
send us a link, and like I said, we'll get that out there. We'll advertise for you. We'll put together a nice PSA for you, and we're in the we're changing too. I mean, we're actually getting kicked over to terrestrial radio and syndication, so we're actually redoing all of our PSAs and everything. So I'll make sure that you guys get in the stack, but we'll get you guys scheduled on the books and everything. So great, man. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate the efforts, and more importantly, tell all the guys in your group that my family, we appreciate the service and the commitment that you made to this country. And we'll, even though our government is turning the backs on you, we never will. We never will. I mean, and we thank you very much and stuff. So
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. We'll be in touch after the show, my friend.
Oh, most definitely. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Take care of yourself now.
You too.
Goodbye. Wow. It's amazing. We do this show, and like I said, I've always said, I'm truly blessed. Truly blessed. I mean, things are put in our path, and for a reason. And it's just amazing. Like I said, I didn't know that that he was part of that organization and stuff. And that, you know, I was actually looking at some of our resources and figuring out how we were going to manage some of the issues that were going on and stuff. Well, there you go. There's the answer. God put it in a path. So with that, though, you know, for those that are new, and I know we have a lot of new listeners, we add about a couple hundred a week at least. We do a segment here. As long as we have soldiers who are put in harm's way, who pay the ultimate price, we will always remember and honor those soldiers. And this is fast becoming, unfortunately, it's fast becoming one of the most popular segments. When I don't do it, it's because that month we don't have a soldier yet. When I do it, obviously it means that we as a nation are in mourning. And it's called Honor the Fallen. All the music that we talked about, if you guys joined the show earlier on, Madison Rising provides the music for us. This is a song called Soldier that we talked about a little bit earlier. And with that, we'll start our Honor the Fallen segment. Army Sergeant First Class Forrest W. Robinson, November 3rd, 2013. If you are a soldier, a family member of a soldier, active duty, retired, discharged, and you need help, you can always find it here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can email me personally, Jeff, JEFF, at themidnightpatriot.com, and I will make sure that we get you the help that you need. If you're a family member and you don't know where to turn and you need help, let us know. We extend that courtesy to you as well. No request will be denied. We will move heaven and earth for you to get you the help that you need. If you're a family member who has lost a son, daughter, husband, father, mother, who have paid the ultimate price in the defense of this country and our freedoms, I want to let you know that if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out to us. We're here to help you. We will find you the resources that you need. If it, just to talk to a friend, we're here for you. Regardless of what your political beliefs are, our listeners, we need to honor those men and women that put on this nation's uniform for our freedom. You see a soldier in uniform, go up to them, look them in the eye, and thank them for their service. If you're so inclined, buy them dinner, buy them a cup of coffee. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You want to join us? Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com for all the latest news and information about the show. We ask that you like us on Facebook. You share our show with your friends. Now, we're changing. I mean, we're getting better at what we do. Phenomenally better at what we do here. And it just goes to show. And I just want to say thank you, like callers, like the last caller that called in and, participate. That's what this show is about. Every topic is open for discussion. We just ask, obviously you have a little civil language. Every once in a while we'll get a little angry. I even have to hit the dump button on myself. We ask that. We ask that too, we don't make threats. But if you want to join the conversation, you can join us. Currently our 1-800 number's down, but you can join us at 347-205-9899, or you can Skype us at The Midnight Patriot. Love to hear from you. This is a show for you. This is a show for you to get involved, to talk about the issues that you want to talk about, and we'll kind of guide you, give you a voice. I've always said this. I'm just the track. You're the train. Your message, your voice is the train. I'm just here to make sure that we get there on time and we adhere to certain rules. Not a whole lot. We're not crazy about them ourselves. But, obviously there's some things that we have to do. I'm your track. I'm going to make sure you get to the station safely. But any conversation's open for discussion here. Here at the Midnight Patriot. I always get choked up after normally I take a break when I do that segment. I always do. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. So the music, I don't know if you guys heard earlier on today, we had Daybreak from Madison Rising. Join us. Tell us a little history behind the Star Spangled Banner, their song. Go out to their web, www.madisonrising.com. They are the official music of the Midnight Patriot. They're actually going to be at NASCAR this weekend. So performing there on one of the stages. So you can maybe catch them on NASCAR. And, support them. Last week they were out at the Cardinals. I mean, they do a great song. Great song. All their music is outstanding. Buy their CDs. I'll tell you, their CD, we actually played it today. It was incredible. Incredible. And, we're going to get 10 of them in here. We'll probably give them away, for our listeners and stuff. But highly recommend Madison Rising. MadisonRising.com. So as we kind of wind down the hour and everything, I do want to bring up one more thing before we go in the evening. Top White House official refuses to testify on Obamacare. This seems to just be the theme. This administration has no culpability for their actions. I'll tell you, I made mistakes. We talked about this last night. No one's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes. The difference between me and you, not you, but us as patriots, and those that are up there on the hill, is that for some reason they feel that the law doesn't apply to them. We already know that this administration's lied to us on several occasions. We already know that this administration is withholding information from us on several occasions. And this is not Obamacare. It's Benghazi. It's Fast and Furious. It's finance issues. It's IRS scandals. It's NSA snooping. It's CIA actions in the United States. It's drone strikes against civilians. The want and will assassination against American citizens. The list is deep. I think we had 25 last week of all the issues, all of the issues that this administration had to pause there. I was going to say something else that was going to get the dump button on me. that this administration has been involved with. But what I find the most amazing is when they're caught, like that child that we talked about with the cookie jar. Not me. Don't know who did it. I have no idea. Well, now you've got two of the top Obamacare officials. We're not talking about secrets. We're talking about White House officials, people that were in on the White House that were part of the conversations. Because you got to remember, part of the plausible deniability is that, oh, the president didn't know. The president didn't know any of this. Well, apparently, the Senate, ISA, they don't believe him. Why should they? The president's already been shown to be a liar on national TV. They got to roll the tape. It's not hard. If he was in the court of law, he couldn't stand up. We have the tape. And that's where this is going. This administration is just, they feel that they can just stonewall and hold back. Well, ICE is saying, no, I want your top officials, a part of your administration, or part of this Obamacare. I want them here. I want them to, heads are going to roll. This administration is going to do everything possible because this is Chicago politics. For those that live in Chicago, this is new. This ain't new. This is typical stuff. Welcome to our world. That world. I don't live in Chicago anymore. But typical stuff. Well, now they're refusing. Last time I checked, when you refuse a subpoena from the Senate, U.S. Marshals show up on your door and you get dragged there. That's no different than you and I in the court system to refuse a summons to the court. I say that the first thing we need to do as a country is we need to demand our leaders appear in front of the elected officials that we have elected as a country. And if you refuse to appear, then you're negligent in your position, and you need to be discharged immediately from that position. It's only fair. If I was a CEO of a corporation and the Senate asked me to show up, if I didn't show up, they would send the U.S. Marshals and they would drag me just in front of the Senate. So why does the Obama administration feel that they don't have to comply? Because their hubris, their arrogance. And it's time that we need to let them know that there are laws in this land, and we demand that they follow them. We demand it. You need to be calling your representatives, your senators, and you need to demand that these White House officials present themselves for questioning. Of course they're going to deny it. They don't want to go because the truth, they're caught. They're caught. We need to demand it. Everybody talks about we need to impeach Obama. You're not going to be able to impeach Obama because you don't have the votes in the Senate. Now, we can impeach him, but you're not going to get a Senate trial just because the Senate is. However, if you are to do that, this is the time to do it. Feinstein is actually doing it. The Senate Democrats have given the president a 72-hour ultimatum to get Obamacare fixed. Now, I just want to put this out there. This is my concern. You have 20 million Americans right now without health care. They got letters. We all got letters. I'm in that batch. I'm there with you. I don't have health care. I'm not going to have health care under Obamacare. I can't get on the private markets because they're all pushed over there. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right? Don't know what we're going to do. I'm not signing up for Obamacare. Ain't going to happen. But you got 20 million Americans that got to have health care for obvious various reasons. Write this down. I think the play is going to be this. They're going to call it the National Healthcare Emergency Act, or they're going to give it some name like, oh, and they're going to say we have to now give insurance to these 20 million Americans that don't have it. And it's because the government screwed up. Now, on its face, that sounds like the right thing to do, right? Sounds like the right thing to do. But what they're doing is they're going to push the one payer, because what's going to happen? The government is going to pay for this health care for these individuals, or everybody that without health care is automatically going to be given health care. That's a one-payer system. That's what this president's wanted all along. We have him on tape, his own words, saying he wanted a one-payer system. He's going to get it. This is an administration. If you doubt that, this is, I don't know where you've been living. They're not going to do it the right way. They're going to do it a backdoor way. And just mark my words. They're going to call it the National Healthcare Emergency Act or something like that in the near future. And they're going to automatically, retroactively, put everybody who doesn't have health care into this system. And you will be covered. And the government will pay for it. And they'll just, those that they can take money out of your paycheck, they'll take it out. Those that don't will get it free anyways. Because the numbers already show by their own financial disclosures. In order for Obamacare to work, they have to get the young enrolled to pay for the old and those that don't pay. They have to. Without them, it falls. It falls. And the problem is that if you do the numbers, it doesn't work. Very smart financial planners, Dave Ramsey, on the show, we had him on, not on the show, but we had a recording that he put together, talking about the numbers aren't going to work. We're all going to pay higher premiums. We're all going to take higher premiums, less service. But just mark my words. National Health Care Act, Emergency Act. That's what they're going to call it. It's coming. It's coming. And they're going to do it because they screwed it up. I'm telling you, it was by design. They're just going to escalate it. They're going to speed the process up. But you heard it here at the Midnight Patriot. Unbelievable. I was able to talk with you guys pretty much for 2.5 hours. And I still only got through 20% of what I wanted to talk about. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Before we go off into the 6 more minutes here. We talked about a little bit earlier about the flag officers. There were 2 more that were let go. Let me give you their names so you guys can do the research as we pull it up. But there were 2 more admirals. Actually, no, they were 2 more admirals that they were generals. Vice Admiral Ted Branch, Director of Naval Intelligence, and Navy's number 2 intel officer, Rear Admiral Bruce Lovelace, Director of Intelligence Operations, are both under investigation. So we got 2 more. Did you not know? These are, the concerning part is these are naval intelligence. Do you know that the NSA, the brass at the NSA, are starting to get critical of this administration? So we got to dig into this a little bit deeper and see where these guys fit in the pie. Because I'm telling you, there's a mass cleaning going on. We've already said that anybody that opposes this president publicly is being terminated or being relieved of duty. So we'll do a little bit more investigation and figure out where these guys fit in the piece. But I bet you it has something to do with the fact that they were probably critical of the fact that this administration led and directed the NSA to do what it was doing, which now there's huge public backlash against, and then this administration basically threw these flag officers under the bus. I'm just telling you, it is a black eye for this country, but it is a blessing, and I'll tell you, maybe tomorrow we'll talk about it. It is a blessing, I feel, for the Patriot movement. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central to 12 a.m. Join us on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. As we wrap up the show tonight, I just want to say God bless you. May God keep you. And until we talk again, my fellow patriots and Americans, good night.